Good morning, and thanks for tuning in to the Dealmaker, Fort Mill, Rock Hill's #1 radio show for mortgage and real estate. We appreciate you tuning in this morning. We got a great show for you today, focusing on the path to home ownership, kind of talking about first-time home buyers. Of course, if you're an existing home buyer just in the market, you're going to get a lot out of today's show. We've got first-time home buyer specialist Taylor Moore in studio with us, Keller Williams. Taylor, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
You bet. So Taylor, you've been in the business for quite a while now, and you know you're younger. You kind of fit that mold of first-time home buyer specialist. A lot of experience in that segment of the real estate industry because you're younger. You kind of match that first-time home buyer age, and you've been doing it for a number of years now. So. Kind of give us an idea of your experience with first-time home buyers and kind of what's out there in the marketplace right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually got into real estate after going through the process of being a first-time home buyer with my fiance, husband now.
Yeah.
So it was really a neat experience seeing how that worked personally. And that got me into the whole business, and now I have a passion, and I love helping first-time home buyers. They're so excited to go through this process and build a home and life for themselves.
Yeah, for sure. So when you did you have any ambitions of getting to the real estate market in a career when you were looking and buying your first home?
No, not actually. I did not. I thought about it in the past, but it was not on my radar until we started going through the process, looking at the homes, seeing that it's a really neat time in our lives, and I just felt called to help other people go through that as well. Fantastic.
So walk us through that experience for you. In going, you're engaged at the time. You're starting to look for a home for your new family. Kind of walk us through that phase as far as just kind of what your thoughts were, because I think that'd be really important for our listeners to hear, especially the first-time home buyers out there. Kind of what was your experience outside of the real estate industry? You hadn't yet entered that career field. So what was your experience there?
So we first started looking at homes without knowing what our budget was going to be.
Gotcha.
Which I would not recommend that to anybody. Definitely talk to a lender first to know what you can afford, because we started looking at homes in a higher price point. We're like, oh, this is going to be so fun. We can decorate 4 different rooms in our house, and then we talked to a lender, come find out we could only afford a little bit less than that.
Right.
So then we had to kind of backtrack and scale down what we were looking for. Sure. Which is fine. That happens to a lot of people, and we're trying to move in the direction of having everybody speak with the lender first, because you want to know what your budget is and what you can realistically afford prior to getting into this. But we were getting listings emailed to us from an awesome realtor, friend of mine I went to college with, and she was awesome. She was always on top of it, emailing us stuff, and we just had so much fun looking through the pictures, and that really got us excited. And once we kind of got our budget in place, then we started to go out and look for homes with her, and we saw maybe 3 or 4 and made a decision really quickly, which a lot of first-time home buyers, that's not the case.
Right.
My husband likes to be very impulsive.
Okay.
So he likes to make a decision right away.
Yeah.
But once you see a couple homes, you really start to narrow down what you want, what you're looking for, where you could see yourselves living for a long period of time. It's not like renting where you go month to month or even year to year. When you buy a home, you want to be able to see yourselves there for a number of years.
Definitely.
So we found our townhome, and it was such an exciting moment, and it moves so fast when you say, yes, I want to make an offer on this house. It moves so fast, and that's one thing I can tell first-time home buyers, like, don't be afraid of the process.
Yeah. Don't
be afraid when it does move very fast and you feel overwhelmed. It's okay. Yeah. Everybody goes through that, and it's going to be fine.
It's certainly an exciting process, and so much involved which is why working with a professional team who really has your best interest at hand is such a valuable piece of that experience. And obviously, you had a good experience with your real estate agent. So again, let's focus on that piece right now. So what was it about the process with working with your real estate agent that made it so great for you?
She was really knowledgeable and comforting, going through all the elements of our offer, because there's a lot of things in there that people outside of the industry don't know. So
Yeah.
she was very good about explaining, okay, this is what earnest money is, this is
Yeah.
what your due diligence fee is, and what they mean. And it just felt so comforting to us to have someone who was an expert
Yeah.
in this field. And I mean, she's my age too.
Yep.
So it just felt we had a good connection, and that's why I love working with first-time home buyers who are also around my age, because I feel like I can connect with them
Yeah.
and help them understand and go through all the elements of the offer that is really pertinent to them,
Mhm.
and make sure that they are comfortable with what we're doing
Yeah.
without going too deep into all of the details, because it's
Right.
I wouldn't tell them how to do their job
Right.
outside of this industry. I just
Sure.
want to explain it enough to make sure that they're comfortable and understand what we're doing.
Yes. Yeah. So much of it is just providing great education and allowing them to make the decisions, but based on having provided all the information. I think it sounds like you learned that when you were a first-time home buyer, and you've been able to take what you learned and what you liked and kind of transition
Absolutely.
once you got into the real estate field and able to provide that to the people that you work with now.
Right, absolutely.
Awesome. So kind of moving on as far as hey, I firmly believe in home ownership and all the benefits that that it offers. So kind of give us an idea, from your perspective, the home buyers that you're first-time home buyers that you're working with now, what's kind of their feel? I mean, I want to talk about all the different benefits of becoming a homeowner, but what do you see right now? What are the sense that you get from the people that you're working with that are just starting to look, starting to buy their first home? What's their kind of perspective on things?
So a lot of the first-time home buyers that I work with are, they're looking for a house where they can live for the next 3 to 5 years. It's not going to be their forever home. They just want some place where they can start building their family, or if it's a single person, married couple, engaged couple, whatever the case may be. They just want to get out of the renting cycle.
Yeah.
They're not looking for this elaborate, grand mansion of a house.
Right.
They just want something, quote, starter home.
Yep.
To just get into being a homeowner, what that means, reap some of the benefits from it. They're normally looking in the $150,000 to $300,000 range,
Mhm.
depending on their job, their credit, and all those other factors
Sure.
you'll go into.
Yeah.
But they're kind of in that price range, which is a good starter home
Yeah.
in our Charlotte market.
Yeah. What do you get the sense is as far as like their top 1 or 2 reasons for wanting to purchase a home? Obviously, when I was buying my first home, I think maybe I had a slightly different perspective than most. It was strictly from a wealth building perspective for me. What do you get the sense that most of your first time home buyers, their perspective is as far as like wanting to purchase a home right now?
Rent is expensive.
Yeah, that it is.
So I always tell people, and I get this a lot, is you're paying somebody's mortgage when you're renting. So if you buy your own house, you're paying your own mortgage. Oftentimes it is cheaper, and actually I just read a statistic today that it is in fact cheaper to buy a home in 42 states in our country.
Wow.
So, right.
Yeah, and I'm sure North Carolina and South Carolina are in
Yes.
that 42 states.
Right. I mean, you see apartments going up all the time in Charlotte, and rent for 1 bedroom is just astronomical.
Yeah.
And you can buy a 3-bedroom house for often less than that rent payment.
Yeah, and I've got a chart here right in front of us. If you're paying rent for about $1,250 a month, which I would say would be a standard rate right now for our market. you know, you take that over 30 years, and it's about $540,000. And so, you know, that's money that could be, you know, going to, you know, fund your, you know, your wealth account, as opposed to, you know, just going right out the door.
Right. And the $500,000 house is a very large house in our market.
Yeah,
you
definitely is.
You could pay, you know, you could get a lot of house for that rent amount.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, yeah. So obviously, I think, you know, with rental rates rising, I think they've risen just so much over the past decade, and even more so just in the past few years. It seems like it's just going through the roof. Meanwhile, you know, interest rates on a mortgage have remained, you know, relatively low, and so yeah, I think you're seeing a reverse trend right now as far as, you know, you can become a homeowner cheaper than what you can pay for rent, which is just one of the benefits. And obviously there's a lot more. Kind of we'll go through a few of those. So you know, obviously when you're buying a home, there's also a lot of tax savings too. I think the average homeowner receives $3,000 a year in tax savings just by being a homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, you know, talk to us about, you know, home appreciation and how kind of that factors into it. Obviously, that's maybe something that's not on the top of, you know, first-time home buyers' minds, but, you know, I think they're thinking, hey, I can get a house payment cheaper than I can a rent. Talk to us about appreciation and kind of what that means.
So actually, a lot of first-time home buyers that I deal with know about this and know that the market's
good. You got an educated class then.
Yes.
Excellent. Sounds good.
So they know that the home values are just increasing. So a lot of people want to buy a house now while the interest rates are lower, because our market is just increasing in value year over year.
Right.
So if they can get in now, within 5 years when they go to sell their home because they've grown out of it or just ready to move on to a nicer place, a better area, or whatever the case may be, they've built that equity into the home. Yeah. And a lot of first-time home buyers take that into consideration for the area they're looking, you know, the type of house they're looking, whether it's a 2-bedroom versus a 3-bedroom. You know, we talk about all those things and make sure that they understand, okay, where is this house going to put me in 5 years?
Yeah, excellent. You're listening to The Dealmaker, Fort Mill, Rock Hill's #1 radio show for mortgage and real estate, talking the path to home ownership, first-time home buyers with Taylor Moore, Keller Williams, first-time home buyer specialist here in the studio with us. So, and when you get that appreciation, Taylor, what are you paying? Let's, you know, 5 years down the road, 2 years, 3 years. What's the tax ramifications if you're, you know, let's say just make $50,000, $100,000, whatever it may be? Are there any tax ramifications for, you know, selling a primary residence after, you know, a couple of years?
So you want to stay in your house for at least 2 years to avoid a capital gains tax, and a lot of people do that anyway. Yeah, I think 2 years would be kind of minimum standard there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yes, you know, talking about appreciation, you know, obviously home prices are rising rapidly in our area. We've got, you know, I think just a week or two ago, the stat came out that Fort Mill, with a starting population of at least 15,000, Fort Mill is the fastest growing city in the entire U.S. And obviously, which is insane, right? Amazing.
Yeah. So, and obviously, in a fast-growing market like that, you're gonna, you know, see significant, you know, home appreciation because you got everybody moving in, growth of the city, less, you know, so inventory goes down. Obviously, we see firsthand, you know, how what a lack of inventory we do have, which pushes prices up, and so. When you go to sell your house and maybe move up after being a first-time home buyer, let's say you make $50,000. Well, that's tax-free income, so you're not paying $1 in tax on that, which is a big deal.
Right, and then you can take that money and put it towards a down payment for your next house.
Absolutely. So, have you had anybody have you sold a house to any first-time home buyers that have experienced that and already moved on yet?
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's not been 2 years yet.
But coming soon, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Awesome. So, and obviously, you know, we're talking about, you know, talk to us about not just appreciation, but like equity building. Obviously, when you're making a mortgage payment, you're not just paying, it's not rent, so it's actually going to pay down the principal balance of your loan. which is building equity, right?
Right. So you can get equity initially. I've seen it in some cases recently with the appraisal coming in. It comes in higher than our purchase price. So you have instant equity in that case. I know it's not for every single case, but in some it happens.
Yeah, and honestly, just yesterday, I've got a guy, a couple I know, they're buying a house for $191,000. The appraisal just came in at $201,000. So right away they got 10 grand. And I mean, that's 5% equity, before they have even closed.
Right. So it's happening in our market, especially with everything increasing as fast as it is, which is great for first-time home buyers who don't really think about that. But that right off the bat is instant equity, and as you live in the home and improve the home, when you go to sell it, sometimes we can use that as equity that you've put in and built and get a higher purchase price or sales price for when you go to sell it.
Yeah, it's almost like a forced savings plan. Owning a home, it's you're saving money by paying down the balance of that loan, and again, not just tossing money out the window on rent, which does nothing for you.
Right.
You're actually paying down the loan, and it's like a forced savings plan, which is another benefit of home ownership. You mentioned kind of making the home your own. Can't really do that in a rental. I mean, when you own a home, so many different things you can do, whether it be on the interior side of the home or the exterior. Maybe you're an outdoor person, love sitting on the back deck grabbing a beer with a nice fire. Maybe you can't do that in a rental.
Right, and most of the time you can't.
Right.
Or if you paint the walls or change the floor, and you got to put it back as to where you moved in.
Yeah, for sure. Another benefit, of course, is the payment stability. With rent. I think the average rent goes up about 3 to 5% per year. So if you're in a rental, you're almost guaranteed to be paying more, year 2 than year 3, year 4. With a mortgage, 99% chance you're going to have a fixed rate, 30-year fixed rate. Your payments are going to be pretty much the same every year. Your homeowner's insurance and your property tax could go up or down. But your principal and interest payment for your mortgage is going to be stable for the life of the loan, and again that you're putting more down towards principal every month, so you've got that payment stability too. You can budget a lot better.
Absolutely, and I know a lot of first-time home buyers are dealing with student loans, just like I am.
Yeah.
So having a stable budget with your house payment is really important, because you can set aside a little bit more or whatever, just keeping your student loan payments up to date and paying those off.
Yeah, there's so many questions among first-time home buyers. Now that you brought up student loans, there's so many different guidelines for how to calculate student loan payments. And so if you're a first-time home buyer and you have student loans, that's definitely a situation where you're going to want to reach out. Call us anytime during or after the show. 704-999-6646. Let's get your questions answered. But student loan payments, you could maybe be in an income-based repayment plan. You could be maybe in deferment, or maybe you're paying them off aggressively. Depending on the scenario, you may or may not have different qualifying factors on that student loan payment. So definitely reach out and let's help you out. So we just kind of went through all the benefits. There's so many different benefits of being a homeowner on paper, but there's also the intangible benefit of being a homeowner. Just the kind of the feeling you get, the emotional feeling that you get, as far as feeling good about yourself being a homeowner. I think personally that just translates to maybe other areas in your life that you just see a positive effect. Do you kind of see that, or am I kind of on an island?
No, you're absolutely right on that. One of the not funniest, but interesting thing when I'm out with first-time home buyers, they talk about wanting to mow their grass, wanting to mow their lawn and take care of their yard, because it's a pride thing.
Right.
So it really is special to see.
Yeah, and I do. I think that translates into other areas of that person's life, and I think stats back that up. I've got some information here in front of me. I'm not pulling it up right now, but just kind of the like you said, the pride that you get from being a homeowner. the care that you take in caring for your home. There's lots of different stats that go into, your everything from, your kids are more likely to stay in school if you're a homeowner. I think it's 53%, more likely to graduate high school if you're a homeowner. You're much more likely to feel safe in a home that you own versus, a rental. Things like that really just go to the intangible side of it, the emotional side, which I think is a big deal.
It is. It is, definitely.
All right, so we know you understand. We understand that you after hearing this, you're ready. You want to buy a house. So what are the next steps? I think for and you touched on it first, Taylor, as far as you kind of went out and just started looking at houses before you really understood what maybe you could afford. But so I think really the first step is kind of understanding your credit and kind of getting into the credit side of things. So with credit, obviously, I don't think there's it's not a one size fits all. We do a lot of credit analysis, credit review for our clients, and a lot of times we'll get questions that very generic questions that maybe they saw something online and it's not just quite right. Maybe I've got 10 different credit accounts, and I maybe overlooked a payment because I used my Macy's card and to go buy some clothes to get 30% off, and I don't typically use that card, and maybe I forgot about it, so I had a missed payment. But I have 10 accounts with a long, clean credit history. So, and then you take the person B with maybe just 1 or 2 accounts that haven't been open for very long, and they have the same situation. They miss a payment. Well, it's going to affect them a great deal more than it's going to affect me, which just goes to show. It goes to say that every credit report is very specific to each individual. One size does not fit all. And so when looking at your credit, I love Credit Karma. I actually encourage my clients to go on creditkarma.com and kind of check it out and kind of get just a kind of a baseline of what information is on their credit report. But I think that also breeds a lot of misinformation, so which we have to coach our clients on, and that is, Credit Karma is going to be about 20 to 40 points different than a mortgage credit score. Reason being is just, again, it's just a credit scoring formula, an algorithm, which is why credit scores are not one size fits all. But whether you're bad credit, good credit, great credit, I think it's important that you reach out to a professional to get a full review of your credit when you're just starting the process. And you can do that anytime by giving us a call at the Dealmaker Show, 704-999-6646. We do have Taylor Moore, first-time home buyer specialist, in studio with us. Taylor, what are your clients kind of thinking about credit? When they first make contact you, typically they're contacting you before any lender. Do you ask any of those questions about credit? What do they think about credit?
So I always recommend they talk to a lender first, because the lender's going to have that information readily accessible, and they can speak more to their credit. A lot of first-time home buyers don't want to have their credit pulled because it's, my credit's going to be affected if I have my credit pulled. So I just always recommend that they talk to a lender about it and get that going with them, because ultimately the lender's going to have to help you. You have to get your credit pulled in order to get pre-qualified, pre-approved for a loan, get the loan. So I always just tell them it's okay. Talk to the lender first.
And I think it's one of those bits of misinformation that's out there. People go online again and just try to get specific information online, but they're just getting very general information online. And so I do encounter that a good bit. Well, I don't want you to pull my credit. It's going to hurt my scores. And then we talk through that and coach the client through that, as far as what credit inquiries actually do to your report, and kind of what we do from a personal standpoint is providing that full credit analysis and review, and when we see where there's room for improvement, we're going to give you that information. We'll tell you what to do, how to do it, what will happen when you do it, and again, it's for anyone and everyone. So if you've got a 500 credit score, we're still going to put a credit game plan together for you. maybe you're at a 735 credit score, but getting to a 740 is going to give you a slightly better interest rate. We'll give you that information too. So it's really no downside when you call someone who really knows what they're doing on the credit side to get that information. You're not going to really see any drops in your credit score.
Right, and it's important to know, well, my credit's not where it needs to be to get that loan, so we need to take 6 months and back off of our search and save up and do those things that the lender or the credit counselor is telling you to do to improve your credit score. So it's really important to know going in, so it's okay to have your credit pulled to get a game plan.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's the most important part is putting the game plan together, because you and I, we do this for a living, and there's still a lot of what if scenarios out there for people that don't do this on a daily basis. It's just so much information, so much misinformation, which is all the reason why to work with a team of professionals who have your best interest and who are generally interested in making sure that you're well taken care of, which Taylor does so very well. And I like to think I do okay as well. So we get the credit figured out. Either we get you on a credit game plan and say, okay, hey, here's what we need to do, here's what we need to fix, here's what we need to work on, or hey, great news, your credit looks amazing. What's kind of the second step to that as far as taking a first-time home buyer who's thinking about purchasing a home? What will be the next step?
So once they know that their credit's good, they get their preferred budget and purchase price from the lender. I always say, talk to the lender and know what you're comfortable with spending.
Yeah.
If well, this rent payment that I'm making is, like you said, it's $1,200 a month. That's where you're comfortable, and you want to stay around that, and you've built up some savings, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But once you know what your price point is, then we can start looking at the homes that meet your other criteria based on the price point, because that's going to be one of the most important aspects of what we're looking at.
I really do truly enjoy working with first-time home buyers, because it kind of gives me a chance to, and for seasoned home buyers as well. But working with first-time home buyers, I think it's a lot of hand-holding, a lot of educating, and I actually enjoy that part of the process. But just because I'm very passionate about personal finance, and so when it comes to that part of the phase about budgeting and kind of working through that, I kind of get excited, because I love to ask detailed questions as far as not only just how much do you want to spend, but hey, how much are you currently earning? Where's that money going? Do you currently budget right now? Because being a homeowner, you've got your payment, but there's also some other things to take into consideration. Such as, hey, what if do I need to set aside some money for repairs or anything like that? I think there's a lot of things that goes into that, and so working with first-time home buyers on kind of really creating a budget, or people who are wanting to buy in the future, and that kind of goes to kind of the second piece of that, which was what you were hitting on as far as the savings goes. Mm-hmm. What are some of your tips for you meet a client, they're not quite ready to buy, and it's from a savings perspective? What are kind of some of the tips that you provide?
So really, it's just looking at the budget that you've created for yourself, and if you don't have one, creating a budget, because you need to know where your money's going and what you're spending it on, and if there are pieces that you can kind of cut back on. Maybe you don't need to go out to eat 5 times a week. Maybe you can go to a grocery store.
Or $50 on coffee a week.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So just looking at where you're spending your money and where you can cut back, so you can put that into a savings account and save up for buying a home.
Yeah. If you need any assistance on how to create a budget, how to start succeeding financially, give us a call anytime before, during, or after the show. 704-999-6646. You're listening to the Dealmaker, area's #1 radio show for mortgage and real estate, talking about first-time home buyers today, creating the pathway to home ownership. We've got first-time home buyer specialist Taylor Moore in the studio with us. Savings is such an important part of the process for life, really, not just for purchasing a home. If you're not, and we talked about, how becoming a homeowner, is almost kind of a forced savings plan. we're big on personal finance, and we want, you know, all of our clients to succeed financially. So yeah, do definitely give us a shout. Look us up online at CarolinasMortgage.com to get free advice on how to budget and how to start saving. So Taylor, on the savings piece, what can, you know, besides, you know, maybe you know, not spending $50 on coffee or going out to eat every day, what, maybe give some personal experience of what you may and your fiance and now husband did when you were first time home buyers, as far as, you know, putting some savings plans together.
So my fiance was renting before he was a home buyer. He had a great deal on renting, and I know that's not everybody's case, but
Sure.
Just really buckling down and saving where you can save.
Yeah.
It's different for everybody depending on what their life looks like.
Right.
But you know, recently, and a lot of people have done this, they cut the cable cord.
Yeah.
You know,
I highly recommend it.
yes, just going to, you know, one or two of these streaming services, not spending so much money on TV and all these
cable prices
things.
are kind of absurd right now. I mean, they're just so expensive. I had cable in a long time, cut it a long time ago, not only just to save some money, but also, you know, if you start, you know, putting some different things in your mind, you know, not to get too off tangent, but you know, maybe start reading some books, maybe start reading some books on finance, you know, building wealth, you know, read some books on real estate, and really kind of start educating yourself. Getting off tangent, don't mean to preach too much, but you know, it makes such a big difference.
It does. Yeah.
So what are some of the other things that you guys did?
So I'm trying to think back to what we did.
Yeah. So I know that you know, back, you know, I've been on, you know, financial roller coaster. I've been in the mortgage business for 14 years. Of course, you know, things were the business was hot and heavy, you know, when I got into it, and obviously went through, you know, the market crash, you know, here in Charlotte, especially with our big banking town, you know, taking such a plunge there. I know during that phase, you know, there's really nothing I didn't do to, you know, decrease debt and increase savings. So, you know, I sold a bunch of stuff. I worked, you know, a second job. So many different things that you can do. So many different ways to make some additional money and to save some, you know, cut some expenses. I think those are the two biggest things that maybe you focus on one or not the other. And again, I think, you know, buying a house is a big part of that. You know, just think of the tax savings that you get, and the fact that, you know, your payment's most likely going to be cheaper than renting.
Right.
So
I remember the first time we got that tax rebate in the mail, and our mortgage payment went down significantly. Yeah. And that was a total shock to us, and it was a great day.
So tell us about that. Like, what kind of tax savings did you get? Was it a specific program, or just, you know, just the fact that you could write off, you know, your mortgage interest for owning a home?
Yes, that was the.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. So if you're listening, you know, there's a few things that you can write off when you own a home. You can write off all the interest expense. So, you know, let's say that, you know, your mortgage payment is, you know, $1,000 a month. You're probably going to be able to write off about $7,000 in interest expense on that home. So if your taxable income is $50,000, and your mortgage interest expense is $7,000, well, now your taxable income is only $43,000. That's a big deal in of itself. But you also get to write off your property taxes. So let's say, you know, property taxes, let's just call it $3,000. Well, now you're down to $40,000 taxable income. So you've just saved, you know, let's say you're in a 25% tax bracket, your taxable income decreased by $10,000. Sorry if I'm talking too fast. Hopefully I'm not losing it, but you know, your taxable income is decreased by $10,000, which is a net savings of $2,500. Big deal.
Absolutely.
So you know, kind of getting into maybe some of the products for first-time home buyers. What you know, you do a lot with first-time home buyers. What are kind of the things that first-time home buyers are seeing from a financing standpoint? You know, what do you see, you know, in terms of mortgage products? Are you seeing much down payment assistance? And we'll talk about that. You know, conventional loans. loans, FHA?
So I see FHA and conventional, depending on the program, but
Yeah.
a lot of first-time home buyers go with FHA loan, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
When we were first-time home buyers
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, excellent. So so let's kind of talk about, maybe let's start with FHA. We'll kind of talk about a few different, first-time home buyer programs out there. And FHA is a government-sponsored loan, it's a government-insured loan. It's a fantastic loan. 3.5% down payment. We do have different options for down payment assistance. So whether you have the 3.5% down saved up, and you've been following our plan, and we've been talking to us, and we've been putting a game plan together for you. You've got the savings, or maybe you're just, hey, you know what? I'm done with renting, but I haven't had to save up, but I've got great credit. I'm ready to buy now. There's some different down payment assistance available out there. So call us anytime. 704-999-6646. So what did you see? Did you get comparisons when you were buying with conventional or FHA? What was it that kind of made you look at FHA?
I think FHA. My husband went with that one based on credit.
Yeah.
Based on his credit score.
Right. Yeah. FHA. Depending on credit score and a couple of other factors, it's again, you want to call us anytime to kind of run through your scenario. But if you're in a certain credit score bracket, FHA may be the cheaper option. FHA has recently lowered their mortgage insurance premium. Anytime you're putting less than 20% down, most likely you're going to have a mortgage insurance premium added to that payment. Still a great deal. But yeah, so if you're in a certain credit score bracket, FHA is probably going to be the best option for you. We do have some first-time homebuyer conventional programs for kind of a different credit score bracket, as little as 3% down. With that, we also have some conventional programs that allow for a reduced mortgage insurance payment. If you're below certain income brackets for the area. So again, any of this information can be had personally, and we can devise a game plan for you. Listen to the Dealmaker Radio Show, Fort Mill, Rock Hill's #1 radio show for mortgage and real estate. Call us anytime, 704-999-6646, or catch us online at CarolinasMortgage.com. We've got Taylor Moore, first-time home buyer specialist, in studio with us, talking all things first-time home buyers and the pathway to home ownership. Man, that was a mouthful.
Yes, it was. Start talking about loans.
I know, right? So so many different products available for first-time home buyers. Do you see much down payment assistance in the marketplace right now?
I'm not.
Okay.
I have not seen that, but I always tell my clients, talk to the lender, because they have different programs. They have the different knowledge on what specifically they can do in each individual case, and it is so specific. So I always tell them, reach out to the lender to see what they can do for you.
What are you seeing right now from a perspective? And we'll talk more about the products and go a little more detailed into that. But what do you see right now as far as the marketplace goes? Because it's a hot market, a lot of in that first-time home buyer price range, there's a lot of multiple offer situations. What do you see? Do you see that the sellers are having a preference between loan type, down payment, if there's down payment assistance on the loan?
Loan type, they prefer conventional.
Yeah.
They see it as a little bit safer, but FHA, VA, USDA, they're all good programs.
Yeah.
You can't really go wrong with them. There's some stigma that can be associated with certain loan types, but it's just combating that and getting over that fear with the seller, and have the lender call the agent and say, hey, look, this is a solid loan, this is a solid client, they've done what they need to do, and there's going to be no problem, no issue with whatever loan type. But sellers are preferring conventional. Cash is king always.
Yeah. Cash is too bad. Not good for me,
No,
but
right.
Good for everybody else.
Right. But sellers they don't really care that much about the down payment. It's more
It's more
just how committed is the buyer, and are
Yeah.
they going to be a good person to go into this deal with? And one thing that is advantageous for first-time home buyers is normally they are renting or, you know, sometimes living at home or wherever,
Yep.
and a piece of that is not being contingent to sell a house. That means they don't have to
Right.
sell something in order to qualify for this loan. So it makes you stronger as a
Yeah.
first-time home buyer going into this multiple offer situation, no matter what loan type you have.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, I think in this market, you know, if you've got a contingent offer, probably not, seller's not too keen to kind of maybe take that.
Especially if you're going up against somebody who's non-contingent.
Right.
So it can be a good thing for a first-time home buyer.
Yeah, fantastic.
Mhm.
So what else is kind of the some good things to know about, you know the benefits of, you know, if you're a first-time home buyer making an offer, obviously you don't have a home to sell.
Right.
Anything else out there that's in their benefit?
Yes, so working with the lender, we say, hey, how fast can you close? Can you close in 3-4 weeks?
Yeah.
Because you don't, you know, the buyer doesn't have to sell a house. They don't have to worry about somebody else's deadline. They
Yeah.
can just say, hey, we can work with whatever close date the seller needs.
Yeah.
Because we're renting month to month, or we can break our lease for a small fee
Mhm.
and, you know, make that work for the seller, which makes your offer and your position stronger.
So then the pressure's on the lender to make sure it gets
Right.
done quick.
Right.
Yeah. If you need a quick closing, be sure to reach out to us. We got I put our speed up with anybody in the marketplace.
Mhm.
We can close very quick. I think our average turn time, closing time, and this is not for any rushes, I think it's 17 business days right now.
Oh,
From
wow.
a company standpoint.
I thought it was 28.
I know, right? Yeah. So we're blazing right now.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
But yeah, call us anytime. 704-999-6646. So for the people who do need maybe some different loan programs, again, my recommendation is always, you know, contact a lending professional, whether it be myself or, you know, someone that you're already currently working with, for any you know, comparison offers. You know, be sure to reach out to us, and we'll get you all the information that you need. But I think it's just such an important role for, again, to partner up with professionals who have your best interest, to kind of walk you through the process. Because, you know, we just named, you know, four different mortgage product types, and within those 4 mortgage product types, you know, conventional, FHA, VA, USDA, there's a subset of a number of different scenarios. Just talking about, you know, mortgage insurance, there's, you know, numerous ways to, you know, to structure mortgage insurance. For first-time home buyers with a conventional loan, you can put 3% down. Do you qualify for reduced mortgage insurance, or do you not? Do you have to put 5% down? So many different questions out there. It's kind of like credit scoring. You know, everything's very specific to each individual. So if you haven't already been pre-qualified by somebody to, you know, to start putting that game plan together for you, give Taylor Moore a call. Give the deal maker a call, 704-999-6646, and let's get you the information that you need. So down payment assistance, you primarily focus in South Carolina?
South and North Carolina. I'm
Yeah.
right on the border, so I
Okay.
travel all the Charlotte metro area.
Yeah. So myself as well. And so there's believe it or not, there's a pretty big difference between you know, down payment assistance programs available in North Carolina versus South Carolina. There's one in South Carolina that I want to touch on, and it's the South Carolina Heroes program. If you're a firefighter, EMS, police officer, registered nurse, a school teacher, you know, you can qualify for this program. It's, you know, up to $6,000 in down payment assistance and a reduced interest rate, and you can tap that onto a conventional or FHA or VA, USDA loan, anything that you want. So, you know, there's really, you know, never been honestly a better time to buy right now and to qualify for one of these first-time home buyer programs. Taylor, what do you see as far as, you know, how are you attracting, you know, first-time home buyer clients? How do we best get the word out there that all these things, you know, are available to them?
So really, it's just getting out there in person, but also social media. I mean, that's a great aspect of our society now, that we can get this information out. One thing I did want to touch on really quickly, a lot of first-time home buyers don't know, you don't need 20% down
For sure.
to qualify to get a mortgage, to start looking at homes. So I always say reach out to the lender, because you never know what program they have that might fit your specific scenario, but you don't have to have this 20% saved up, which is an astronomical amount of money, especially for people in this age bracket, in this time period of their lives. So don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. So definitely some misinformation out there is, I gotta have 20%. Certainly don't have that. Not many people do. We want to show you how to do that, but in the meantime, we can get you in a home now. And likewise, also, what people should understand is, if you have less than stellar credit, you can still buy a home. Go down, whether you've got a 500 credit score, a 600 credit score, 700, whatever it may be, we'll work with you. If we can't get you approved now, we're going to get you on a game plan and get you ready to buy and get you in a better overall financial standpoint. One of the things that we taught here on the program is the fact that we work with local CPAs, local financial advisors, local professional real estate agents like Taylor Moore, that are going to team up together and start giving you all the information and the education, the hand holding that you need, not just to buy a home, but to really start kind of building wealth, to getting on the track of financial success, financial independence. And it is a process, certainly, but whether you've got excellent credit or bad credit, don't let that stop you from reaching out to a professional who can start beginning to give you the education that you need in order to prepare yourself for home ownership.
Right. You always want to know what you're getting into.
Right. Yeah. I think knowledge is so much power, and again, there's so much involved in the home buying process in our industries that may even be like second nature to us. Maybe even it's difficult for us. I mean, imagine what it is. You go back to your first time home purchase. I remember going back to my first home purchase. By the time I got in the mortgage business right after college, so I was actually already in the mortgage business when I bought my first home. So I had a little bit of education. Kind of go back to your experience as first time home buyer before you got into real estate, and all the questions that you had and everything like that. So working with a team of professionals is kind of everything.
Right. And we really relied on those professionals just to guide us, because we had no idea what we were doing. So it's really important to find somebody that you connect with on the lender side and the real estate agent side to work with you through that process.
What are the maybe like the top 2 or 3 things from the lending, from your experience with the lending side and your experience from the real estate side, that you've taken into your career to make sure that your clients are well taken care of?
So education, I know we've talked on that a lot, but I really want my clients to understand what we're doing, the process of making the offer, because it's fun looking at houses, it's fun going in and picturing where your furniture can go, but that's gonna come later. That's not the most important part.
Right.
At when we're looking and thinking about buying a home, it's really about, okay, this is where your money's gonna go.
Right.
And for the different pieces, parts of the offer, and it can be different in North and South Carolina, so depending on where you're looking.
Right.
But really just explaining, okay, this is what your earnest money is, and this is what it goes towards. It goes towards your down payment at closing.
Yeah.
It's not just lost money.
Right.
You're not just writing a check.
Yeah.
Right. You're not just writing a check and never going to see it again.
Yep.
When we get to closing, it shows up, and you don't have to worry about that. It's really just making sure that they're comfortable with going through the inspection process and knowing, these are what we should ask for and not ask for. It's really about the education.
Yeah.
And providing that value to my clients and making sure that they're comfortable.
Yeah. So how do you pair that up with the lending side? Like, how do you make sure that whatever lender that you're working with is on the same level as you and wants the same things for that client as you? How do you kind of maintain that relationship and make sure that your client is getting everything that you want them to get?
So staying in communication with the lender through the process, getting weekly or updates every 2 weeks on, hey, how's it going? Is the loan process going well? Are they getting the documents to you that you need? Because first-time homebuyers, lenders ask for a lot of documents.
Yeah.
They're going to ask for them multiple times. So don't freak out. You're like, I already gave this to them. They know what they're doing, but just staying in communication with the lender and making sure that the loan is progressing how it should be, and making sure that there's no hiccups, and make sure my clients are happy and moving along, and everybody's working together to get this thing done in time, especially if we have a quick close date.
Right. Just a ton of involved in the process, and you kind of almost take on the role of a parent, as far as just making sure that your kids are doing everything they have to do,
Right.
to make the deal happen. Fantastic. So any other takeaways for first-time home buyers that's on your mind, that hey, be aware of this, don't do this, don't do that, anything that's out there?
So one thing I would like to say is, along with saving up for your down payment, whatever that may be when you're ready, a lot of the time we get into these multiple offer situations, and we don't ask for seller paid closing costs to go towards the buyer's closing costs, because we want to make a strong, clean offer. So that's more money that you're going to have to save and be prepared for.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you don't think about it initially, but it's important to know, and I talk about this in my buyer consult meetings.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to have to bring more to the table than you initially thought, and just being prepared for that and knowing up front that could be a possibility is important.
In a quick 2 minutes, and hopefully I don't steal too much of your thunder, but could you walk us through that buyer kind of presentation for like a quick 2 minutes? Kind of give us a summary of kind of the information that you work on and kind of share with the client there.
Yeah, so we sit down, we meet, and we kind of go over if they have talked to a lender first. If not, I have some recommendations. Brandon's top of the list. So we go through and say, this is important to know what your budget is, and hopefully they've already got that piece done. And once we have the budget, we talk about what they're looking for in their home. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,500 square feet, whatever it may be. If they want a yard, and then we start pulling up the homes that match to their criteria in our market where they're looking, and depending on North or South Carolina, because there are some differences, we kind of go into what each one offers and how the offer process is different. Briefly touch on that because it can be a lot of information. So just kind of gloss over that just a little bit until we're out and looking at homes, and we kind of talk about that process while we're out. But yeah, we just really want to nail down what they're looking for and make sure they've got the budget to support that.
Fantastic. You're listening to the Dealmaker Show, Fort Mill, Rock Hill's #1 radio show for mortgage and real estate. We've had Taylor Moore, first-time home buyer specialist, in studio with us, giving all kinds of phenomenal information for first-time home buyers, the pathway to home ownership. If you're interested in becoming a first-time homeowner, give Taylor Moore a call. Taylor, what's the best way they can reach out to you?
So they can reach me at 980-288-8872, or look up the Stacy Sauls group at Keller Williams online, and we'll be more than happy to help you out.
Or just find them anywhere on social media. They're all over the place. They're just crushing it online.
Yes.
And I enjoy all the updates I see online from you guys. Y'all do have such a great team chemistry, team atmosphere, and so when you work with Taylor Moore, you really get the services of about 6 people.
Yes.
So it's you're just surrounded by a team who's gonna go all out and make sure that you're well taken care of. So if you want first face-to-face presentation with Taylor Moore, be sure to reach out to her. Again, you're listening to the Dealmaker Show, Fort Mill, Rock Hill's #1 show for mortgage and real estate. Call us anytime during or after the show, 704-999-6646. We appreciate you being with us this Saturday morning, and we'll see you next Saturday.